All right, you all, so these are the ingredients that we're going to be using in order to make our tasso turkey. We have some bell peppers back here, you guys. I have some black, yellow, and green. You can use whatever colors you want. There's cayenne pepper back here, guys. I have complete seasoning, some epis. If you haven't seen my epis video, please view that. I'll have it tagged up top. You can go ahead and view that first if you would like to make your epis. I have some white distilled vinegar, guys, to clean our turkey. Complete seasoning, black pepper. This is accent, you guys. If you don't want to use it, it's optional. I use it to bring out the flavors, but you don't have to. I also have garlic powder here as well, 3 limes in order for us to clean our meat, 2 maggie. I have some fresh thyme here, guys, and a habanero pepper, as well as tomato paste, so we can make a little bit of gravy to simmer on that turkey. So let's go ahead and head over to the sink, because y'all know we got to wash that meat off. So I'll take y'all over to the sink so we can wash the meat and get this party started. So guys, I forgot to mention before we start with cleaning our meat, you do want to go ahead and take some water to boil so that we can saute the meat. So go ahead and just put that in your kettle real quick, fill it up, and we're going to head over to the sink so we can begin washing the meat while that heats up. All right, guys, under the assumption that you've already thawed out your meat, what you want to do is just put it in a bowl. Take your vinegar. That's 1 cup of vinegar here. You can use a little bit more if you want, and just put some salt on there. Now the salt that you're putting on there, don't worry about it. We're going to rinse that off, so that's not the salt we're going to be cooking the meat with. And what I do is just take my lime and kind of slice it into several pieces so that I can have enough pieces to clean out the meat there. Once you're done with that, we're just going to start beginning to clean our meat with the lime. But first off, what I do is just cut off some of the pieces that I would rather not see. The wing part, I have mixed turkey wings in there as well as drumstick. Some of those parts sometimes have feathers in it, so I kind of take out that extra meat, the extra fat on there, to make sure that it's not part of the pieces that I'm keeping. I'm just throwing that to the side. You see that part right there? Yeah, cut that off, the tip, the wing tip. Cut that off. You see the little feathers sticking out there? Yeah, I don't want that. I like the wing tip though, but I just don't like that. This is the bottom part of the turkey drumstick. I usually just throw that out as well. For whatever reason, I never keep it, so you can just throw that out. Once I sort through the meat to make sure I get rid of all the pieces I don't want, what we're going to go ahead and do is begin to clean out the meat. So you can do that first. All right, guys, time for us to clean our meat with the lime. What I do is just go thoroughly through with every piece of meat and just kind of rub the lime through it. While I'm doing that, I'm actually just moving the meat over to a separate bowl so that I can ensure that I get through all the pieces. I also try to just move it around and smear it around the vinegar to make sure that it sits in there a little bit. Rub them through. Once you're done with that, what we're going to go ahead and do is begin to rinse it off. So enjoy the rest of this process. All right, guys, once we're done with that, what we're going to go ahead and do is just rinse out our bowl here so we can prepare it for us to go ahead and, I don't know how to say this in English, guys, but it's saute the meat, man. Just throw some hot water. If you know how to say it in English, please comment down below. There's some things I just don't know how to say in Creole, but go ahead and clean out your bowl, clean out your sink. That's actually where I was throwing all those extra pieces, guys, that I was telling you that I didn't want to keep. I'm actually going to go ahead and just throw those out now. To get rid of them. So go ahead and clean out your sink, clean out your so we're gonna get ready to how do you call it? I don't know the name of it. It's not saute. Oh my god, I'm going on Google, guys. Be right back. You all, I'm back. Google was absolutely no help at all, so I don't know, guys, but you saw what you're gonna see what I'm doing here. So after you clean out the bowl, just make sure you thoroughly clean it out. I don't know, your bowl is cleaned out, guys. It's time for us to go ahead and begin to rinse out the meat. I'm using a double sink, so I have the silver bowl that I was previously using on the other side. What I'm going to go ahead and do is just to begin to rinse that meat out. Remember, we have the salt, the lime, and the vinegar in it. Rinse that out and then move it over to the silver bowl, and then we're gonna saute it. So enjoy this process. All right, guys, it's about time we head over to the stove and check on our hot water. As you can see here, the water is ready. That kettle is snoring. It only mean one thing, that it's time for us to head over back with the water to the sink so we can go ahead and begin to, I would say, just steam, but show the meat. This is, I think islanders kind of do it, but mostly Haitians. I don't steam all of my meat, but there's certain meats like pork, turkey, those hard meats that needs to be boiled a lot, I normally will steam them. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just pour the water over that meat there to make sure I thoroughly ensure that all pieces are covered. What I'm going to do later on is just stir it in there and just kind of mix everything to ensure that it is fully covered in that hot water. And I'll kind of let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then we can go ahead and drain that out. Once we're done with that, stirring that in, we're just gonna go ahead and drain the water and pour that out. If the sink is clean, guys, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pour the turkey into the sink there to make sure that I allow it time for the water to drain, because you don't want to season like wet meat. Then you're gonna have a pot of a lot of liquid in order for it to cook down. So I let it drain first, and then I begin to move the meat over to another bowl so that we can prep it for seasoning. So I just make sure that it's fully drained before you do this. Again, you want to have dry meat in order for your seasoning to stick well to the meat, and so that you're not having a watery bowl when you're getting ready to do that. I just take a lime here and I'm going to go ahead and just use the lime squeezer to kind of squeeze that lime out, because you want some type of citrus in the meat as part of your seasoning. So we're going to prep that and get that ready, and we're going to go ahead, and once we're done with that, just one lime, guys. Depending on the meat, if you have a lot of meat, you may want to use 2, but you don't want it to have too much citrus in there. I usually do between 1 or 2 citrus depending on the quantity of meat that I'm using. Now we're going to go ahead and begin to season our meat here. I'm going to first put in my epis. Again, don't forget to watch the epis video if you would like to, so you can know how to make this Haitian blend. And we're going to move on with our complete seasoning. There's no particular order that you want to go ahead and put your seasoning. You can just drop them in there, but these are the seasoning that I'm using. We're going to then move on with the garlic powder and just mix that in there. Again, you don't have to mix it all right now. I'm just pouring it in. I'm trying to get it done evenly in there, because once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and mix it with our hands and make a love to our meat. This is our cayenne pepper. Get that in there. Then we're going to go ahead and add our seasoned salt in there. Make sure that we get that thoroughly spread out. Our black pepper, and then our citrus. You can pour the citrus in there. Once we're done with that, what we're gonna go ahead and do is add in our maggie. Again, the best way to open up this maggie is just to kind of squeeze the sides, and it'll pop open, and you can just go ahead and evenly spread the maggie in there. It's easier to evenly spread your seasoning while it's in the bowl. That way when you're mixing it in, it has an even coat of all the seasoning. This is the second round of maggie that I'm putting in there. Again, the amount of salt you put in there is up to you. I had a lot of meat, guys, and I needed to do that. This is the accent I spoke about in the beginning. Again, it is optional. You do not need to put it in there. Let's get our magic fingers ready, guys, and listen, talk to your meat. Pray over your food while you're cooking it. This is something that I practice on doing, and just making sure that you're talking and being nice to your meat. I think meat is just like plants. You got to talk nice to it. So you want to just get an even mix in there, spread out all the seasoning, make sure everything is fully coated and nicely coated. And then we're going to go ahead and get ready to prep our meat to pour it into our pot that we're going to be boiling it in. As you can see, the meat is fully coated with seasoning. Everything is evenly coated, which means we are ready to go ahead and move the meat over to our pot. Now just spread everything out. I just pour everything in there. There's no science to this at all. No science at all, guys. Just evenly put everything in there. Make sure that you have a pot that you have a top for, because you're gonna have to steam the meat. Sure, you want to make sure that you get every ounce of seasoning into your pot that you're going to be steaming the meat in. So go ahead and get all those juices, the citruses that we mixed in there, all of those seasonings into the pot of meat. As you can see, I'm actually using one of my meat. This is something I do often. I just take one of the pieces of meat to kind of slide and glide all the seasoning into the pot. Listen, I worked hard for that. I want every ounce, okay? Every ounce counts. Then we're going to go ahead and head over to take our meat over to the stove. You all, as you can see, come on now, this is evenly coated. I can actually just imagine this while it's cooked. Like I mentioned, make sure you have a top for your pot. Cover that pot up, and you just want to go ahead and set your stove to about 5-6. It's like a medium. What we're going to go ahead and do now is just begin, while that cooks, we're going to begin to cut up our bell peppers. This is optional if you would like to make gravy. If you have like rice on the side and you'd like to make gravy, if you're just going to use it for free time, you would not need gravy. You can just use your pickles, but I'm actually going to make a side of rice with this. That's going to be on a separate video. You also don't forget to check that out once I publish it. But we will chop up our bell peppers. I'm just cutting out the inside. As you can see, I slice it down the middle, cut out the core, take out the seeds on a separate. I hate the seeds of bell peppers. I don't know why, but I always have to shake them off. We're going to go ahead and take our onion as well, slice that in the middle, and just kind of peel the first layer off. And then I just prep all of my vegetables, because then I'm going to go ahead and start to slice it. As you can see, thin slices as well. You don't have to do thick slices. If you like, you can. Honestly, how you cut your bell peppers and your onions is all based on preference. There's no wrong or right way to really do it. Some people like to make round slices on it. Others like to slice it the way that I'm doing it. There's no wrong way to do it. Sometimes I'll do it the round way as well. Sometimes I do it this way. Listen, don't think. It's whatever you want to do. To mention earlier, when we put the meat in the pot, you want to go ahead and, I don't normally put water in it because the turkey itself will make its own gravy. As you can see, you see the bubbles there. This is about 35 minutes into it cooking on medium low, that it's already made its own water and juice and gravy. There's no need for you to add water in there. So I kind of let it marinate into its own seasoning at first. If need be, if you find that your meat is drying out, you want to monitor it, you can go ahead and add a little bit more water so that it can continue to cook a little bit more. But as you can see, it's just about done. It's not done yet. I'm going to go ahead and top that off. Just kind of move it around. You want to stir it a little bit to make sure that everything is evenly being cooked. And once that's done, we're going to top it off, and I'm going to let it cook for another 20-30 minutes. You'll know when your meat is ready, depending on your preference. I don't like for it to fall apart so much, but I need it to be fully cooked, because I normally just fry it a little bit so that it's a little bit crispy, but I don't like the meat too dry. Turkey's already a dry meat. So let's close that off, and we're going to go ahead and let that cook for another 20 to 30 minutes. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and check it again, guys. As you can see, now our meat is ready. You can tell there's really any gravy towards the bottom. The meat is fully cooked, just about falling off the bone. It's free-tie. The meat is going to fall off, and I get it cut kind of small as well, because I don't like big chunks and pieces of meat. So now that the meat is ready, we're going to prep our oil and get it in the deep fryer. So I like to let the meat sit for a little bit so that the juices can settle towards the bottom of the pot, and the meat can dry out a little bit more before I put it into my deep fryer, so that it's not popping everywhere. I kind of like to move everything into a separate bowl so that I can make sure that it's not too much liquid in it, and it can drain out a little bit, the juices towards the bottom. And I'm just gonna go ahead and take everything out the pot, and then we're gonna head over to the deep fryer. I don't have much footage while I'm putting in the deep fryer. I was really in a rush at this point, guys, but I usually just fry it on high. You don't need to fry it too much. It's a preference based on how crispy you want it. I don't like it too crispy. It's already cooked, so it doesn't need to cook in there. Literally just putting it in there to get that golden brown color out of it. As you all can see, the juices on the bottom of the pot, that is what we're going to be using for our gravy. So do not, if you don't plan on making any gravy, you can toss that out. But listen, all those good seasonings are in the bottom of that pot, so you want to keep it if you're going to be making any gravy. So I'm not going to toss that out. Alright, so I've set the meat aside. What I'm going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and start to remove some of those bones that's left in the bottom of that pot. It's not really necessary for us to have it in there, but I'm not going to take everything out. But the rest of that little bit of meat that I left in there is just so that the gravy can have some type of texture in it while we serve it. I'm just going to bring that to a boil. I have it about like medium high again, about like a 4 or 5. I'm going to add in our tomato paste. We're going to begin making our gravy, adding our tomato paste in there. I added about 2 to 3 tablespoons of tomato paste into the pot. I'm going to begin to stir that in there. The bottom of the pot burnt just a little bit. Didn't taste like burnt, but it's going to be like that. I try not to scrape the bottom of the pot much. It doesn't really make a difference at all, I promise you. So I'm going to go ahead and just thoroughly mix in and smooth out the tomato paste so that it can give the gravy some color. This is just the Haitian way of making gravy. There's so many other options for you to do that. Once you have that thoroughly stirred in there, we're going to go ahead and begin to add in our vegetables. That's the vegetables we chopped up. The bell peppers, whatever color bell peppers you have. Add in your onion. Again, if that's a preference of yours, there you go. Add that in there, a handful. There's no measurement to that at all. We're going to go ahead and stir that in there as well and let it kind of cook in with the seasonings. Cook for about a minute or two, and once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and add in our Maggie to kind of top off our seasonings for this gravy. You can add just about half of that Maggie in there. Remember, all the seasoning from the meat is already in there, so you don't need much in order for it to give it any flavor. The reason why I did that is because we're gonna go ahead and then add in our water. Add in your habanero pepper as well if you would like to give it a little kick. It's not going to be spicy unless you crush in the habanero pepper, but it does give it a little essence of kick. Add in about 1 to 2 cups of water for my gravy, and just stir that in there. We're going to go ahead and cover that back up as well and allow that to cook and boil for another 5 minutes. And here's the grand finale, guys. That's it. 5 minutes later, our gravy is ready. I did add in my thyme. I'm going to go ahead and head over to our deep fryer now to go ahead and fry our turkey. You can set that aside for later. And here you go. I didn't record this. Again, you're just taking your meat over to the deep fryer and preheating your deep fryer and then pouring in your meat. I've done this in batches, as you can see. You see, that's the golden brown color that I was referring to. Once again, turkey dries out very easily, so you want to make sure that you don't overcook it. There's that brown color, guys. This meat is cooked to perfection. And are you ready? Are you ready? And here's our grand reveal. Here's our Tasso turkey, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to use the pickles. I've tagged it up below. And enjoy your Tasso. Remember, make love to your food. Enjoy your cooking. Bon appetit. Thank you so much for